Hello, I'm Mr. Malden, and this is the Middle School Math Toolbox, where I teach you how to become a middle school math master. So if you're interested in that, hit the subscribe button down below. Today we are working with triangles, but specifically we're trying to work with the interior angles of a triangle in order to figure out, whatever a question's asking us, whether it be, what the angle equals, or if there's an expression in there, solving for the variable, all those kinds of things. So that's what we're tackling today, all right? So let's just go ahead and get into this. We've got to do a little bit of review for just knowing some different things about triangles before we start getting into the equations. So let's just really quickly talk about classifying a triangle, all right? You've probably done this in lower grades, and so you might be somewhat familiar with this, but you can classify triangles by two different traits, either classifying by their sides or by their angles. And really every triangle has both labels on there. All right, the labels for the classification for sides, you have options of equilateral, isosceles, and scalene. All right, an equilateral triangle is a triangle that has all three sides are the same. An isosceles, two sides are the same and one's different. And then a scalene triangle, all three sides are different. Now I want you to look at the screen and just look at these different triangles and just notice, maybe you can see my cursor here, if you can see that little tick mark on the line, all right? This is our way to communicate to each other that any side that has one tick mark on it is equivalent to another side that also has one tick mark on it. So in this particular triangle, you have another side right here that has a tick mark and another side. You have three sides that have the same tick marks. That's just a communication to us between each other, all right, that we say this triangle has three equal sides. And the way that we show that, we don't know what the side lengths are, but we just put the little tick marks on there. So you look at this isosceles one. Notice you've got one tick mark on the side, and then on the bottom, you have two tick marks. That's saying that this side is different from this side, but it's the same as this other side over here because it's got one tick mark as well. So these two sides are the same, but that one's different. And then here in the scalene triangle, you have you've got three sides with one tick mark, two tick marks, and three tick marks. So all three are different. And so that's just a way to communicate that all three are different. All right, the other way to classify triangles is by their angles. All right, if you have a triangle with three angles that are less than 90 degrees, that's an acute triangle. If you have a triangle with one 90-degree angle, that's a right triangle. And if you have a triangle that has an angle larger than 90 degrees, like this one right here, all right, that's obtuse. All right. All right, let's move on to the next thing. This is going to be kind of tedious here on the front end, just giving you some knowledge before we start getting into the equations. All right. Here's a little bit more knowledge about triangles. It's called the triangle inequality theorem, all right? And it just says that any two sides of a triangle added together have to be larger than the third side in order for it to make a triangle, all right? You can simplify that rule down to this simple rule, or this simple kind of just like what to do. The sum of the two shortest sides, if you'll go and look for the two shortest sides and add those together, and then look to see if that number is greater than the third number. If that's true, then it will make a triangle, all right? Most likely you'll see a question like this. Do these, make a triangle? Do these lengths make a triangle? All right, that's how you'll see. And then you'll have 5, 9, and 12. They won't even draw a diagram for you, all right? They'll just write out the question, all right? And then you've got three numbers, and then you have to determine. Well, the way to determine if they're a triangle, you add the two smallest numbers together. That's 14. Is 14 larger than 12? It is, all right? So that will make a triangle. Those lengths will make a triangle. All right. Also, if you have triangles that have the same number, all right, the sides have the same number, and you're asked, will this make a triangle? All right. Well, my small little rule down there says add the two shortest sides, but I don't see two shortest sides because they're all the same length. All right. So in this case right here, think about the broader rule that any two sides added together have to be larger than the third side. So in this case right here, this 4 plus this 4 is 8, and 8 is larger than 4, so that works. And this 4 plus this 4 is also 8. And 8's larger than 4, so that works. And then the first one, the last 4, all right, those two 4s are add together for 8, and that's larger than 4. So yeah, it checks out all the way through. That's the broader rule, all right? So any two sides added together must be larger than the third side. But a quick little shortcut is just to go to the smallest two sides, add those together, and see if they're larger than the other side. If they are, then it will be true that the other two sides added up will be larger than another side, and the other two added up will be larger than the other side, okay? So if you just go to the simplified little rule down there, then you'll get your answer pretty quickly. All right, one more thing you need to know. You need to know that there is a relationship between the side lengths of a triangle and the size of their opposite angles. So first of all, let's just put that little statement up there, what the relationship is, all right? It says the longest side is opposite of the largest angle. All right, and if you look at this image right here, you'll see the illustration right here talking about the side length that is 12. All right, in side AC down here, the side length is 12. That's the largest size line on this triangle. That's a 12, that's a 5, that's a 9. 12 is the largest. Therefore, its opposite angle also is the largest. Now, what's an opposite angle? An opposite angle to a particular side is whichever angle is not attached to it. All right? So if you look at this side right here, that's 12 units long, all right? It's attached to angle A and it's attached to angle C, all right? It is not attached to angle B. So angle B is its opposite angle, and the connection is, since 12 is the largest side, then angle B is the largest angle. And then it goes to reason that, the smallest side, its opposite is the smallest angle. And the medium side, its opposite is the medium angle. Now let's just take this a little step further, all right? There we go. And we're going to say that this side is equal to that side, right, by putting a tick mark on it. And I say that this angle is x degrees, all right? A lot of times, especially in tests, they love to give you diagrams like this, where they give you a little bit of information and they expect you to come up with the other information. Let's call this up here 70, right? 70 degrees. When you're solving a question like this, and it doesn't give you an expression in each of the corners right there, then you need to come back to this rule that I just taught you, all right? That there's a relationship between sides and the angles. Because likely, if they did not put a number right here, they give you information up here that can be helpful to you. And here's the helpful information, all right? Remember the principle. The largest side is across from the largest angle, all right? The smallest side is across from the smallest angle, all right? So if the side lengths are equal to each other, doesn't it go to reason that also their opposite angles will be equal to each other? And that's a true statement, all right? So it's not just good reason, it's true, all right? So if these two sides are equal, then the opposite angles are also equal. Therefore, if this one's x degrees, then this one is also x degrees. And so you need to supply that x right there, all right? So you're going to want to store that away in your memory, because we're about to, we're going to talk about one more little principle, and then we're going to start going through some examples. But whenever you see a diagram like this, where you've got two equal sides, you just need to remember that the opposite angle is the one that's equal to the opposite angle of the other side that's congruent, all right? There we go. All right, let's move on. And this is the most important part, all right? The most important part of the whole lesson. This is memory that you need to stick away in your mind and don't forget it, all right? Just like you know that a whole percent is 100%, and you know that a right angle equals 90 degrees, and you know that a straight line, it measures 180 degrees. You know that stuff already, all right? That's stored away in your memory. This also needs to be stored away in your memory, all right? Three sides of a triangle. So this is the triangle sum theory, all right? Three, not sides, angles, all right? I'm doing all sorts of like messing up my words, all right? So let me back up again. Three angles of a triangle add up to 180 every single time, all right? So every single time you have a triangle, it doesn't matter which triangle there was, doesn't matter when it was. It's always been that way and it always will be that way. All three angles have to add up to 180. It's a rule. It's a law. Okay? So you can always start when you've got a triangle like this, and maybe they tell you what two of the angle measures are, and you want to know what the third one is, like that, all right? You can just write a simple equation. You know that one angle plus another angle plus the third angle is equal to 180 degrees. And so you can use that knowledge to write an equation. And that's what we're about to get ready to do in this video is you're about to start writing equations from the information that you've gotten, all right? So now you know all three angles add up to 180, so you can just simply write an equation that one side plus the other side plus the last side is all equal up to 180. And then you can solve that equation, all right? I can add together 45 and 60 because those are both constants. They have same terms, all right? So that's 105 plus x equals 180. Then I can subtract the 105 from both sides, and I could find out that x equals 75. So this missing angle up here was 75. And we found that by adding those two numbers together and subtracting it from 180. And even more basically, we found that by making an equation and solving that equation for x. All right, let's go to some practice, all right? I'm going to tell you, there's a diagram right here. You got a triangle on your screen. I want you to find the value of x. That's the objective, all right? And if you feel confident that you can do it right this second, go ahead and pause the video and then go ahead and try that and come back, all right? For those that don't feel confident about doing it yet, let me talk about it a little bit. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit, so if you want to, you can hit pause before I do that. All right. This diagram's like one we saw a while ago. You see this triangle that has two side lengths that both have one tick mark. Therefore, we know the opposite angles also equal each other. So if one is x, the other's x. So then you can simply use that information to write an equation. Now, if that helped you, go and start writing your equation now, all right? And then you can come back to see if your answer is the right answer. All right. The right equation is going to be x plus 50 equals 180 because all three angles of a triangle add up to 180. Then I can combine like terms. This x has an invisible 1 in front of it, and so does that one. So 1 plus 1 is 2 x's plus 50 equals 180. I can subtract the 50 from both sides. I get 130 here, 2x on this side. I can divide by 2, and I'll find out that x equals 65, all right? So each of the angle measures was 65. All right, let's try the next one. All right, pause the video. You've got the triangle there now, so pause the video and find out what x equals. Start trying to write an equation and then find out what x equals, and then you can come back to see if you got the right answer. All right, the right equation for this one is 11x plus 39 plus 53 equals 180. All right, and if you combine like terms, those two constants can be added together. You can't add them to the 11x because that has a variable, all right? Then you could subtract the 92 from both sides, and you could divide by 11 in order to solve the equation. You'll find out that x equals 8. All right, let's try a little bit more challenging one, and then we'll be done. I think we got this one and one more after this. So go ahead and you've got the task card there on the screen. It says use the diagram below to find x. And then you want to find the angle measure. So the first thing you want to do is create an equation and solve that equation to find out what x equals. And then you could take that number and plug it back into the 3 individual expressions for the different angles and complete the math to find out what those angles are. It's kind of like a puzzle, all right? So go ahead and pause the video, try it all yourself, and then you can come back, all right? Okay, so I'm going to try it now. So if you haven't paused, you need to do that. Pause and then come back. Okay, here we go. The equation I'm going to use is x plus 3x, that's the next angle, plus the last angle is 2x plus 30. All of that added up has to equal 180 because the rule says that. Right? Now then I can combine like terms. I know this x has an invisible 1, so I'm going to write it there just so I don't get confused. All right? And then I've got 1 plus 3 plus 2, that's 6x's, plus 30 equals 180. I can subtract 30 from both sides. I'll find out that 6x equals 150. And I can divide both sides by 6 to find out that x equals 25. All right? So now we know what x equals. All right? So we want to take the different side lengths of the triangle. One was x, one was 3x, and one was 2x plus 30. And instead of writing x, we're going to put a parentheses with our number on the inside of it, all right? That one is just 25 degrees. Whenever I just have a number inside the parentheses, I can, finalize it, simplify it by erasing the parentheses. Now, I'm going to erase this x and put a parentheses here and put the 25 on the inside because all I'm doing is substituting this number for the variable in the expression. This says 3 times 25, that's 75 degrees. And then the final angle was 2 times x plus 30. So if I remove x, or I replace it with a parentheses and put 25 on the inside, then it says 2 times 25, which is 50, plus 30 equals 80 degrees. All right? And finally, I can add all 3 of those numbers to confirm it, just to make sure it adds up to 180. 25 plus 75 is 100, plus 80 is 180, so it works. All right? Last problem. Try this one right here. I want you to solve for x first, and then you're going to have to find your individual angle measures. All right? So you can go ahead and pause the video, try it, and then come back to see if you were correct. All right. In this one first, let's just talk about the diagram. You've got x minus 6 in that angle. You've got 2x up here, but this one's blank, all right? And we're like, it can't be blank. We got to have an expression. We have to have a number or something, all right? Well, it gave us extra information in the problem. It told us that these 2 sides are equal, and told us that by putting 1 tick mark on each of those, all right? So I know then if this opposite angle is x minus 6, then this opposite angle is also x minus 6. All right, so I can use that knowledge. So now then I'm going to go and write my equation. X minus 6 plus another x minus 6 plus 2x equals 180. If you didn't have that equation right there, then chances are you probably got the wrong answer. So what I want you to do is go back, pause the video again, and go back and correct your equation now and see if you can solve that one, all right, to come up with x. All right? Now I'm going to solve this equation, which means I got to combine like terms here first. So I'm going to combine all my x's. That's a 1x, that's a 1x, and that's a 2x. So that combines together to be 4x's. And then I've got a minus 6 here and a minus 6 there. So that combines together to a minus 12. You want to make sure that you just pay attention to those minus signs. It just influences that next number to be negative, all right? So minus 12 equals 180. Then to solve it, I can add 12 to both sides. I get 192 on the right side, and I get 4x left over here. So then I can divide by 4. So I've got 192 divided by 4, and that's what x is going to equal. And 192 divided by 4 is 48. All right, so x equals 48. All right, there's a lot of messy work on that screen. All right, but see if you can kind of make sense of it. All right, there's our value for x. Now, if you didn't get that value for x, then now I want you to pause the video, and I want you to go back, and I want you to plug that value of 48 into each of these expressions to come up with the angle measures. See if you can try that first. All right. All right, this expression is x minus 6, so 48x minus 6 is 42, all right? And that one's the same thing, so that's also 42, all right? If I added those together, that's 84, and I took that away from 180. This needs to be 96, all right? But let's just go ahead and just go through the process. This is 2 times x, which if we substitute 48, all right, for x, then it's going to be 2 times 48, and that is, in fact, 96. 2 times 48, there we go, it's 96, all right? And 96 plus 42 adds up to 180. We checked it out. It works. All right, if you have any questions whatsoever, you can put the questions in the comments down below, and I hope you have a great day.